Yo, what's going on, guys? Today, in this video, I'm gonna be talking about something very specific here that I'm sure some of you guys have been wondering as well, and that's if Chad is gonna be limping in Scream 7. That's what this video is gonna be about. Just talking about that in specific. So hopefully you guys enjoy this video. Like and subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. I'd really appreciate it. And we're just gonna dive right into this. So I know I haven't been uploading as much. I just wanted to talk about that for a second. But I've kind of just been, just enjoying the, my days off and just like, I've just been at home doing, just chilling. So that's why I pretty much haven't been uploading as much. I've been planning to do reviews because I've just watched some horror movies recently, but I'll get to that eventually. So, but yeah, I just wanted to say that real quick, just to put that out there for any of you wondering why I haven't been uploading as much. But back to the video. When it comes to Chad and, some fans that have made, because like I said, I've been questioning this for like a while now. I'm sure some of you have questioned it too. Is Chad gonna be limping in Scream 7? And for what I would say is I do think he's gonna be limping in Scream 7 because here's the thing about the thing with Chad is that as we all seen, like in Scream 6, Chad was stabbed more times than he was in Scream 5. In Scream 6, he was stabbed like 15 times. So like he was stabbed basically all over his body 15 times. Chad is that's the main reason why I think this time he is gonna be limping and he's gonna be walking all weird and stuff. Like that's definitely gonna happen. I definitely think it is because just based off the fact of how many times he was stabbed this time, it was just he was stabbed a lot. So, I definitely think it's more possible this time around that Chad is going to be limping and, he's not going to be able to walk that well. And, the thing is too is that like in Scream 5, Chad was stabbed like what, 7 times. He was stabbed in the leg. He got like 2 lower back stabs, but most of the stabs that Chad got were to his stomach. Chad was stabbed like 4 times in the stomach. That's where most of the stabs landed. So most of the damage that Chad took in Scream 5 was to the stomach because he was stabbed like 4 times in the stomach before Richie and Sam pulled up in their car and then Ghostface ran away. So because I've seen some fans question like why wasn't Chad limping in Scream 6? Like he was stabbed 7 times in Scream 5. He should have been limping in Scream 6 just like Dewey in Scream 2. But like I said, I think it's mainly because of the fact that Chad was mainly stabbed in the stomach. If Chad in Scream 5 was stabbed in the back like quite a bit of times like Dewey was in the original Scream, then yeah, I would be like, yeah, Chad would I would think that he would be limping in Scream 6, but most of the stabs that Chad got and received in Scream 5 were stomach stabs. So I think that's the main reason why Chad was not limping in Scream 6. And, that's basically the reason why. So Chad not limping in Scream 6, it makes sense to me. I don't really have a problem with that. But for Scream 7, like I said, this time around, though, I mean, Chad wasn't stabbed in the back either in Scream 6. But I think this time he's going to limp a little bit only because this time he was stabbed all over his body, like everywhere. So I feel like, Chad is going to have a whole bunch of scars and, maybe he has stitches as well. And the fact that he was stabbed more times, I just feel like it's gonna take way longer for him to heal this time. It's gonna he's not gonna heal as quickly as he did for Scream 6. You know, because when we saw him in Scream 6, he was just like he was okay. And I think the reason why that is I feel like, you know, the like I said, he was mainly stabbed in the stomach. He got like 2 lower back stabs, and then he was stabbed in the leg, but most of the stabs went to his stomach. And you know, he didn't have any scars in Scream 6, which I guess you can say is a little bit strange. But for Scream 7, though, I do think he will have a whole bunch of scars. And not only that, but it's going to take way longer for him to heal just because of the amount of times he was stabbed. This time around, he was stabbed way more times. So I think the reason why Chad will limp is because he might have a whole bunch of scars all over his body and a whole bunch of stitches. And every time he tries to walk, his stitches, his wounds kind of open up a little bit, and it kind of hurts him every time he tries to walk. So I think that's why Chad will end up limping in Scream 7 because of that. And he's going to walk a little bit funny because of that as well, because he basically is going to have stitches, you know, and a whole bunch of scars. And every time he tries to walk, maybe his wounds open up a little bit, like, and it hurts him, and it ends up making him walk a little bit funny. So Chad limping in Scream 7 is way more possible this time around because of that, compared to Scream 6. I definitely think that this time he most likely is gonna be limping. He's gonna have a limp, and you know, because of all the wounds all over him, and like I said, his stab wounds, and you know, they might open up a little bit, and they might not be fully healed yet. And every time he tries to walk, they open up a little bit, and it like hurts him. So he ends up, you know, just kind of limping when he tries to walk. So I think that's why Chad is gonna limp in Scream 7. And you know, I think this is the main reason why. But you know, when it comes to just like Chad in general, like him being stabbed 15 times in Scream 6, like, you know, it's just this that's the main reason why I feel like it's gonna take longer for him to heal. It's just because of he was stabbed more times all over his body. So I feel like that's the main reason he's gonna limp. And you know, some fans, like I said, they've tried to point out how Dewey was limping in Scream 2, but Chad wasn't limping in Scream 6. Like I said, I'm pretty sure the main reason why that is because Dewey was stabbed directly in his back in the original Scream quite a few times. And that definitely would have caused nerve damage and made him walk, you know, with a limp. Being stabbed in the back, that would definitely cause nerve damage. In Scream 5, Chad was mainly stabbed in the stomach, so I don't really see how he would limp from that. And, you know, the fact that Chad is like a young football athlete, you know, I feel like that's the main, these are like kind of the reasons why Chad was able to heal more quicker than Dewey in Scream 2. Because by the time you see Chad in Scream 6, like I said, Chad was already healed. He was walking normal. But Dewey in Scream 2, he was still in bad shape. And the reason why is because Dewey was stabbed in the back. And that definitely would cause nerve damage and cause him to limp. Being stabbed in the back a few times. Compared to Chad in Scream 5, he was mainly stabbed in the stomach. So that's why I think Chad wasn't limping in Scream 6. But for Scream 7, like I said, I think it's more possible only because of he was stabbed all over his body. So it might take him longer to heal. He's going to be probably a little injured. So, yeah. And plus, you know, some fans that are trying to point that out as a like continuity error. Like some fans that are trying to point that out as like some kind of error that Chad wasn't limping in Scream 6, but Dewey was in Scream 2. But here's the thing, though, I feel like that some of these fans probably aren't thinking about is because here's the thing, that Dewey, he was limping in Scream 2. And, because when you look at the events of the films and you look at when these movies take place, Scream, Scream 1 and 2 take place like 2 years apart. And I'm not talking about the movie releases, I'm talking about the movie events. Because, for some of you who may not know this yet, or because basically every movie in the franchise, there's two of them that don't actually take place the year the movie is released. And pretty much those movies are Scream 2 and Scream 3. Because, Scream 2 obviously was released in 1997, but Scream 2, the movie events, though, they actually take place in 1998, 2 years later after the original Scream. And like I said, Scream 2 and 3 don't take place the years the movies are actually released. They take place during different time events. So Scream 2 actually takes place in 1998, and Scream 3 takes place in 1999. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because Dewey, basically 2 years later, after the original Scream, we see him in Scream 2 2 years later in 1998. He's still limping after being stabbed in the original Scream in 1996. We see Dewey in the events 2 years later that Scream 2 takes place in 1998, and Dewey is still limping. Scream 5 and 6 only take place a year apart from each other. So when we saw Chad get stabbed, that was basically in 2022 in Scream 5. Scream 6 takes place in 2023, a year later. And, it may seem a little strange how, to some of you, that, Dewey would still be limping after 2 years of being stabbed in the original, and then Chad is already healed a year later after Scream 5. But the thing is, like I said, Chad was mainly stabbed in the stomach in Scream 5, compared to Dewey, he was mainly stabbed in the back. So, I already explained that part. But with Scream 6, obviously, like I said, we saw Chad get stabbed 15 times. So I do think he's going to limp for Scream 7. But in terms of the events of Scream 2 taking place 2 years later in 1998, and Dewey is still limping after 2 years, and when we see him in Scream 2, and like, he was limping. But the thing is, though, is, as I brought up, the thing is, though, is that Scream 3 takes place in 1999, like I said, a year later after the events of Scream 2. And like I said, I'm gonna probably have to keep bringing this up, but I'm not talking about when the movies are released, because like I said, Scream 2 and 3, the movie events don't actually take place the years the movies are released themselves. Scream 2 and 3 are the only movies in the franchise that don't take place during the years the movies are actually released. They take place during a different time. So yes, Scream 2 was released in 1997, but the movie events take place in 1998. And Scream 3 was released in the year 2000, but Scream 3 actually takes place, the movie events take place in 1999. So that means a year later, after the events of Scream 2, we see Dewey in Scream 3 after being stabbed again. And in that movie, Dewey is barely limping at all. Like, if anything at all. Like, you barely see him, like maybe in a few scenes he's limping, barely. But for the most part, in Scream 3, Dewey is walking completely fine. He's walking normal after being stabbed again in Scream 2. So, I mean, for some of the fans who are pointing out, like, I guess, like, the continuity errors with Chad not limping in Scream 6, but Dewey limping in Scream 2. I mean, Dewey was not limping in Scream 3 either, though. And he was stabbed again in Scream 2. So, like, are you going to point out the inconsistent stuff there as well? because I mean, it really like if like Dewey got stabbed again in Scream 2, so you would think he would be limping even more in Scream 3, but he's barely limping, if anything at all, in Scream 3. Dewey's not really limping at all in Scream 3. So like it just that kind of made no sense either for Dewey not to be limping in Scream 3, because you would think he would be limping more. So that's why I don't. That's also another reason why I don't have a problem with Chad not limping in Scream 6, because they pretty much had that. Because I mean, I already explained why it's not inconsistent and why Chad wasn't limping in Scream 6. But for some of the fans who are trying to say that it's inconsistent for Chad not to limp in Scream 6, but Dewey limps in Scream 2. But like Dewey wasn't limping in Scream 3, so it's kind of like they weren't that consistent with Dewey's limp either, because he wasn't like, how are you gonna limp in Scream 2, but then in Scream 3 Dewey's like walking like normal, like nothing, like if he didn't just get stabbed again. Like it just, I don't know. So I don't know, like if some fans just didn't realize that, you know, because some of these fans are pointing that out with Chad not limping, but literally Dewey didn't limp in Scream 3 after being stabbed again in Scream 2. So it's like, I don't know, like, and literally the events take place a year apart from each other. Scream 2 and 3, like I said, Scream 2 1998, that's the events of the movie. Scream 3 1999, that's the events of the movie. So you're telling me a year later Dewey's not limping anymore? But then 2 years later, after the original Scream, when we see him in Scream 2, Dewey's limping? Like, come on. Like, you could point out the inconsistencies with Dewey's limp as well. Like, you know? So it's not just Chad who, you know, just, like, you know, with him not limping in Scream 6. Like, Dewey wasn't limping in Scream 3, so it's like, does it really matter? Like I already said here too, like Chad is most likely gonna limp anyways in Scream 7. So him not limping for Scream 6 is not really a big deal to me anyways. Like, you know, and as I said, he was stabbed only 4 times in Scream 5. Well, no, he was stabbed 7 times. Chad was stabbed 7 times in Scream 5. But most of the stabs went to his stomach. So Chad was mainly stabbed in the stomach in Scream 5. That's not really going to cause nerve damage or cause you to limp, you know? But, you know, for Scream 6, I do think, you know, since he was stabbed 15 times, I do think this time Chad is going to limp for Scream 7. He's going to be limping because of that. It's probably going to take more longer for him to heal this time. But, you know, that's pretty much kind of my theories on whether, or my speculation, I guess, for whether I think Chad is going to limp for Scream 7. I do think he is most likely. You know, he's most likely is going to be limping and whatnot. And yeah, it's more possible this time around compared to Scream 6. Like, I didn't have a problem that he wasn't limping in this movie because, you know, like I said, he was mainly stabbed in the stomach. So Chad not limping in Scream 6 is not really a big deal. But for Scream 7, if he's not at least a little bit injured after being stabbed that many times, then yeah, this time I would be able to call it out and be like, yeah, why isn't he at least limping a little bit, or at least showing that he's still a little bit injured? Like, I'll call it out for Scream 7 if he's not really shown to be injured this time. But for Scream 6, I didn't have a problem with it. Like, he's, you know. But, yeah, and, you know, like I said, Dewey wasn't even limping in Scream 3 anyways. Like, he was limping in Scream 2, and then Scream 3, Dewey's pretty much walking just fine. So it's like, you could kind of say the same thing for him. But, yeah, I do think that most likely Chad is going to be limping in Scream 7. And like, I'm probably going to drop more character theory videos, you know, with Scream 7 like coming soon as well. This may this past few days, the rest of this week, I might try to drop another Scream 7 character theory video, or just just drop Scream 7 theory videos in general. Tomorrow, like maybe in the morning or something, I might drop another video, just something random. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but yeah, I've just been kind of just enjoying my break and just enjoying my days off. And that's why I haven't really been uploading, as I said in the beginning. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say for this video, on whether or not I think Chad is gonna limp in Scream 7. Like I said, I do think most likely he is. And yeah, I mean, like, he was stabbed 15 times in Scream 6. So he was stabbed like all over his body 15 times. So it's more possible for him to limp in Scream 7 this time, for sure. Like, so yeah, that's basically my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. And I don't know. I'm gonna try to drop more theory videos and about whether Scream 7 or drop horror movie reviews. But stay tuned for that, guys. I'm just gonna try to, because I'm just gonna be posting random stuff every now and then as well. So yeah, I'm just gonna drop all kinds of content. But hopefully you guys enjoy. Like, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.